I welcome all the students to the video lecture on the topic Gross National Happiness Index, that is GNHI. In this particular lecture, I will explain the concept of Gross National Happiness Index and also explain the status of India in GNHI as per the United Nations report of 2019 in comparison to the status of other developed and developing countries of the world. In our earlier lecture, we studied the concept of Human Development Index. Human Development Index measures the social as well as some economic aspects of development. In the same way, the Gross National Happiness Index, while measuring the development of a particular country, it considers social, economic, environmental, psychological, and other aspects which are related with the human life. In my earlier lectures, I elaborated how the development of a particular country is measured. While measuring the development of the countries or the development status of the countries, we can measure this development with the help of per capita income of the country, with the help of total national income of that country. These are the economic components or the economic criterias through which we can measure the development of a particular country. But apart from that, we started considering, while measuring the development of the country, we started considering some social aspects. As we studied in Human Development Index, my earlier lecture, I explained what are the social aspects. Means health of an individual, educational standard of an individual is considered. Now, apart from economic criteria, economic factors, social factors, some other factors needs to be considered for measuring the happiness of an individual. The broad idea of the happiness of an individual in a particular country, how it is measured, how it is calculated, that is explained in the Gross National Happiness Index. In short, Gross National Happiness Index is the index in which, while calculating the development of the country, economic aspects, social aspects, psychological aspects, governance aspects, ecological aspects, environmental aspects, all these aspects have been considered in Gross National Happiness Index. So let us try to understand the concept of Gross National Happiness Index. The Gross National Happiness Index is the concept which was propounded by the fourth king of Bhutan in the year 1970. His name was Jigme Wangchuk. The Jigme Wangchuk propounded this concept of GNHI. In this Gross National Happiness Index, just as I mentioned, not only the economic aspects are considered, non-economic aspects of the well-being of the people is also considered while measuring this Gross National Happiness Index. Just now I mentioned standard of living. For measuring the standard of living, we do use the indicator of per capita income. For measuring the overall development of the country in an economic aspects, we do consider the national income of the country as an indicator for the measurement. So these are the economic aspects, economic components through which we can measure the economic development of the country. But some non-economic factors also made an effect over the development of a particular country. Social aspects, environmental aspects, psychological aspects, ecological aspects, these all other aspects we should consider while measuring the well-being or the good life of a person. So in this way, in the gross national happiness index, these all aspects, these all components are considered for measuring the good life or well-being of the individual of a particular country. There are total 33 indicators have been used for measuring gross national happiness index. These 33 indicators have been classified in four main pillars. These four main pillars of gross national happiness index are: first one, good governance; second one, sustainable socio-economic development; third one, cultural preservation; and fourth one, environmental conservation. These are the four main pillars of gross national happiness index. All 33 indicators we can classify under these four pillars. The first pillar is good governance. Good governance means the functioning of the government to maximize the well-being of the people. The functioning of the government for the well-being of the people. How the government of a particular country is taking decisions for maximizing well-being of the people. What are the mechanism working in the country for maximizing the happiness of the individuals? What are the agencies of the government? How the government is functioning, how the government is working in a particular country. That is what the term good governance is. Functioning of the government, mechanism of the government is concerned with the concept of good governance. How this government is working for the welfare of their individual. What decisions the government are taking for the well-being of their public, and how the mechanism is working. That is what the good governance is. The second point is sustainable socio-economic development. Sustainable development means the development of a particular country without compromising the needs of the future. To attain the goals of the present generation without compromising the needs of the future generation is known as sustainable development. So the development should take place in such a way that it will not compromise the needs of our future coming generation. That is what the meaning of sustainable development is. While making development of the country, we should preserve our economic resources, we should preserve our social values. By preserving our social and economic values, we should move on the path of development. Therefore, it will not hamper the development of our future generations. So while making generation, we should not compromise with the goals of our future generation. The third point is cultural preservation. While moving towards the development or while moving on the path of development, one should preserve the cultural values of that country. One should preserve the culture. One should maintain the culture. And fourth one is environmental conservation. The development should not be takes place at the cost of environment. We should preserve our environment. We should be very aware about the environmental preservation. Environmental conservation is very important component, very important element in the development process of the country nowadays. So these are the four main pillars of gross national happiness index. Further, these more these main four pillars can be classified in 9 different domains. The four important pillars of gross national happiness index can be explained with the help of these 9 important points. In order to understand the concept of happiness index in detail, we should understand these 9 domains of gross national happiness index. Now let us start understanding these 9 different domains. The first domain is psychological well-being. Psychological well-being means psychologically how a human being of a particular country will get satisfaction. On what component does the well-being of an individual depends? The happiness of the individual depends upon the psychology of that particular person. Psychology means the way of thinking of that particular person. How a particular person thinks at a particular situation. That is what the psychology of a human being is. Who are the colleagues of an individual? In which society that particular individual belongs to? What is the family environment? What is the environment of the society? In which type of society or in what type of people does that human being belongs to? These all are the things which made an effect over the psychology of the individual or psychological well-being of the individual. Therefore, this psychological well-being of the people definitely increases the well-being of the people, or it will create the happiness among the individuals. So therefore, psychological well-being, how we are thinking, what we are thinking, with whom we are residing, who are the colleagues at workplace, who are our friends, at family, what is the environment, at society, what is the environment. These all are the factors which make an effect over the psychology of an individual, the psychology of a human being. So this psychology matters for the happiness of the individual. The second domain is health. As we know, the health is wealth. A healthy person is always happy. The happiness of an individual, happiness of a person definitely depends upon the health condition. A strong and healthy person, physical health, mental health of an individual depends upon the physical health. How physically we are strong, that will affect over the mental health of an individual. Health is an important component in the happiness of a person. It plays a very vital role for the happiness of a person. Therefore, the health is the second domain of happiness index. The third domain is education. The educational standard also matters for the happiness. In order to get the happiness, we should consider the educational standard of an individual. So education, the standard of the education also made a positive effect on the happiness and well-being of the person or well-being of the individual. The next fourth component is time use. Time use means how a person utilizes his time. Each and every individual will get 24 hours of the day. How that particular person utilize this time positively for the development of his own personality or for our own development, how do we utilize these 24 hours positively? For positive thinking we do spend this time, or for negative purpose or negative thinking we do spend our time. We do spend most of our time for what purpose? For the development of our personality, or for what purpose we do utilize maximum time? That also matters, that also affects over the well-being and happiness of the individual. For example, consider if some person thinks very negatively most of the time, then it will adversely affects on the development of that particular individual. So how we utilize our time, how we use our time, that particular resources, that also matters. The next fifth point is cultural diversity. The cultural diversity means how we preserve our culture, how we preserve the culture, and what are the cultural diversities, what are, how do we preserve the cultural values of our country, and how we disseminate that cultural values among the others and among the coming generation. That also matters, that also affects over the happiness of an individual. Good governance. In my earlier, while explaining the four pillars of the gross national happiness index, I explained this particular point. Good governance also plays an important role. How government is supporting to the people, how government is supporting to the individual is also an important component. How the government is giving services to the individual. For consider, for example, in today's in now in the current scenario, we are facing a health crisis, and how government is supplying the help, supplying the equipments, medical services to the public. It is how the functioning of the government is going on. That is what the good governance. If government is supporting their individuals, the masses, then it is an example of good governance, and it will also made a positive impact on the psychology of the people. It will also increase the well-being of the individuals. The next component, next domain is community vitality. Community vitality means strength of a particular community, strength of the particular organization. In which condition, in which situation the individual of a particular group is thinking about the community vitality, it also increases the happiness of a individual. If organizational support we are getting, then we will be confident. If organizational support, a particular individual is getting organizational support, then he will be he will become quite confident. So that confidence will positively make an impact on his well-being, on his happiness. So that is what the community vitality or strength of the community also made an impact on the happiness of individual. The next eighth domain is ecological diversity. Ecological diversity means how we people depends upon the environment. How the individual depends upon this existence of the individual depends upon this environment. The study of an earth as a household is known as ecology. What are the things around us and what we are getting from the living and non-living things around us? Because of the diversity, what benefits we are getting because of this ecological diversity from this natural environment, from this overall earth as a overall earth, what we are getting out of it, what we are getting out of this particular environment, that is what the ecological diversity is. So we should preserve that ecological diversity for the happiness and well-being of the individuals. And the last one is standard of living. Standard of living depends definitely upon the economic factor. What income an individual is earning in a particular country, and whether from that particular income he is able to meet all his demands. That is what the standard of living a particular person can be maintained in a specific condition. So these are the 9 different domains of gross national happiness index. Now we will see what is the current scenario of gross national happiness index of different countries of the world. As per the United Nations World Happiness Report 2019, the gross national happiness index is calculated for 156 countries. Out of 156 countries, the India's rank was 140th, 140. In the earlier year 2018, India's rank was 133rd. In the year 2016, India's rank was 118, 118th. Now recently, our rank among 156 countries is 140th, 140. The rank of United States is 18th. The rank of China is 93rd. Among Southeast Asian countries, the Bangladesh, Nepal rank of Pakistan is higher than that of the rank of India. Here in this particular slide, we can observe, we can see the rank of different countries on the basis of gross national happiness index. The first 4 countries which comes in the rank are Finland, Denmark, Norway, Iceland. The Norway is the country in our earlier lecture we studied with the highest human development index. Here it comes the third rank for the happiness index. The countries at the bottom position for GNHI are the countries which belongs to the continent of Africa. Tanzania, South Sudan are the bottom position they are acquiring in happiness index. So in this way, in this particular lecture, I tried to explain the concept and components of gross national happiness index. In this lecture, I stop here. Thank you.